Week 14 of the NFL season kicks off tonight, so it's time to make our picks for every game this week today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Krabs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On NFL Scouting your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100.
Week 14, Joseph?
Yeah.
The only college football game we get this weekend at the Division I level is Army Navy. It's snowing outside my window as we speak.
That can't relate.
What is this? What is this? How are we here?
It's the most wonderful time of year, Kyle. This is the big time stuff, right? Do it or don't.
December football. December football.
Man.
Play them all and see what happens.
Yeah, we're getting closer to playing them all. You know what I mean?
Getting closer to playing them all.
The ratio, that felt different in week one when I started to say that. Tomorrow, right. Takes on takes. Bring it. Leave a comment on this video on YouTube and drop us your takes for consideration for tomorrow. Want to get that out there early because we forgot last week,
Leave me all of your Austin Jackson takes. 3-year, $36 million extension. Miami Dolphins, right tackle, Austin Jackson. Anyway, we'll talk about the Dolphins, but late on today's show because we're doing all of the games for week 14. And the Dolphins play on Monday Night Football. So we'll get to them at the end. Joe, what we have to do at the very beginning is we have to acknowledge how many games we have picked thus far this season and your percentage of games successfully hit. So you and I were different on 2 games last week. We split them again. I feel like this is the 4th consecutive week we've been different on multiple games, and we've just split every single one. Because the highest the lead was 3, and that was like week 4.
Yeah, we closed it down to 2, but
So Joe, you are
block punts in a row and a missed extra point. The next thing you know, Tennessee can't win that game. No, that we both had that one. What was the other one that we were different on? Oh, I picked the Eagles.
Yes, you picked the Philadelphia Eagles against the San Francisco 49ers, and I said that line's telling me something, so I'm going to pick the 49ers.
Yeah.
And Joe said, ironically enough, you complaining about the Colts-Titans game being the one that betrayed us, I'm the one that had Russell Wilson's pass intercepted in the end zone in the final minute, which would have won me the pick.
I knew that was going to happen, though. So,
no, we didn't, because we said the one thing Russ is not going to do is turn the ball over, and he did it 3 times. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. You are successfully picking 60% of your picks thus far this season.
Over 60%.
I, by the same ratio, am correctly picking 61%. The show, and we just did an update this week because we did rookies yesterday, and then we did all the injury update and some major reclassifications, guys like Broderick Washington from Baltimore, so on and so forth. We got a roster update this week for the final quarter of the season. The show, picking against the spread, is currently hitting on 55% of games against the spread this season, Joseph. Very good things.
Let's keep it rolling.
Our objective is to make that number even higher. So let's do this thing. We have Patriots, Steelers, Bailey Zappi, presumably. Who knows? Bill might switch him again. Versus Mitchell Trubisky on Thursday Night Football tonight.
First team to 7 points wins.
7?
It's probably 10. Like 10 probably wins this game, right?
Yes. So there's some things that stand out. Ramondre Stevenson out. Pop Douglas out. Bailey Zappi at quarterback. I just feel like Pittsburgh at home has too much defense. They've gotten healthy with the skill group. I think they win this football game.
Minus Najee Harris, but he's supposed to play, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm going Pittsburgh.
The show is picking... Go Pats. The show is picking New England to cover a 6-point spread. FanDuel currently has the line at Pittsburgh -6.
If I were picking the spread, I might do that as well.
I feel pretty good about that confidence level. Yeah. This be a field goal game, right? 13-10?
Something like that, yeah.
Watch, it's going to be 30-0 now because he said that. You want to keep rolling? Got to keep a couple more in the 1 o'clock slate?
Let's roll.
All right. We have Rams-Ravens in Baltimore. Baltimore, here's the intimidating thing. They have waxed much better teams at home than the LA Rams.
Yeah.
They put the hurting on some good football teams in Baltimore.
Right. Cross-country trip. Rams have
Indoor
punch.
team.
I respect them.
But
yeah, the SoFi's indoors. It's covered.
It's
Well,
covered.
it's not climate controlled, but it's never hot or cold in there. Ravens at home.
Ravens at home for me as well. The spread on FanDuel is 7.5. The show has it at 9. So the show is taking Baltimore to cover 7.5 points. I feel better about that than I do New England covering. Getting 6. I feel like this is a 2-touchdown game.
Probably.
What do we do in this game, Joe? The Carolina Panthers are playing the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans on Sunday.
There's a lot to hate about this game. Getting Jameis at quarterback. Yeah, I mean they were sort of competitive against Tampa last week on the road in the rain. Defensively, Carolina is okay.
They're getting some guys back too, I believe, right?
Yeah, they got Chin and Horn back. Yeah,
with Jameis.
Yeah, but then there's the Panthers with no guards, Bryce Young at quarterback, no receivers, and a Saints defense that's pretty good. I'm just going to go with the Saints at home. I think it's a smart thing to do. I can see the Panthers doing a Cardinals Steelers thing here from last week. I can definitely see it. I'm just going to pick the Saints at home.
This is definitely the most high variance game that we've picked so far, not just because the spread is only New Orleans at home -5.5. This is the lowest spread we've covered thus far. The show, for the record, has it at New Orleans -5. So by 0.5 point, we're taking Carolina to cover the spread. And it doesn't matter if they cover by a point or if they win the game. So long as they cover 5.5, it's a winning pick. Can we get one more?
Let's get one more.
All right. Colts, Bengals. Jake Browning. Out here looking like the clone of Joe Burrow.
The hard thing about the Colts, this year is that Gardner Minshew's not actually playing that well. They're 7-5, they're in the playoffs right now, but Minshew has been a problem. Can Jake Browning do it again? He's at home. I think the Jaguars have a better defense than the Colts.
Who are you rooting for in this game, by the way?
I think.
Is it a weird dynamic for you as a Bills fan trying to sneak into the playoffs where you got a 7-5 Colts team and then a 6-6 Bengals team that you lost to?
I think there's more losses coming for the Bengals. I probably am rooting for them to win this game. Now they have the tiebreaker over the Bills, but Kyle, I'm going Bengals at home.
I thought this was going to be the game I was going to get on you. I'm also going Bengals at home.
Yeah, I'm going.
Look, Indy's a great story, but I agree with you with Gardner Minshew. How many points did they get off of special teams blunders from Tennessee last week in a game that they otherwise should have lost?
A lot.
Directly got 7 because of the block punt that you gave. I guess it was 6, right? Because wasn't that the extra point that got ran back?
So a 4-point touchdown. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Right. Super weird.
But then Tennessee misses the extra point, in with 5 minutes left of regulation. So I don't think that win was quite as indicative of what Indianapolis put out there. Cincinnati, surprisingly scrappy if they can cook up a game plan like that. And it felt like a boxing match with Jacksonville at times, right? Like we're going to jab, and then we're going to cross with Chase down the field in the one-on-one situation. If Browning can do that.
Right. Be okay.
And they got the run game. Chase Brown gave you a little something extra in the run game. Not a ton, but a little something extra. Give the Bengals. The show has this as a pick 'em. And because Indy is favored by 1.5 on FanDuel, the show's taking Cincinnati. So we are all in on the Bengals here on this show, Joseph.
All right, stick with us here, folks. We got plenty of big divisional games coming up to select. But look, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview, and that's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and they might not have the time or resources to hire. Well, thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. They even just launched a feature that helps you to write job descriptions, making the process even quicker and even easier. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Snowing cats and dogs out here, man. It's not
Something
good.
going on outside my window here. Is my wife? I don't know. We'll see here. All right.
Well, I'll wait for the dogs. That's how you know something's happening at the Marino household when all the dogs blow up.
No, we're going to be okay. I don't. Somebody's walked by my front porch a few times here, so see what's going on.
Our next game is another pick'em game according to the show. And it's Jacksonville versus Cleveland. In Cleveland. Cleveland favored at home by 3 points. So the Vegas lines, courtesy of FanDuel, would indicate if this was a neutral site game, they would regard it as a pick 'em. We regard it as a pick 'em as is, so therefore we're currently leaning Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence doesn't suit up, this will tilt to Cleveland.
Yeah, we got to have some caveats here. If Trevor Lawrence can't play and CJ Beathard can't play, I mean, this is obviously Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
They're used to not playing with their quarterback this year. But if Trevor Lawrence plays, I want Jacksonville. If he doesn't play, I want Cleveland.
That is the exact same scenario that I'm in.
It's the only way
I don't feel – I think it would be a stressful game. How about Joe Flacco, by the way? His performance last week, pretty admirable, right?
Right. If you're the Jets, you may have wanted that.
They don't give that back, do they? They don't put him down for PTR or anything, right? Like, no, I'd ride him the rest of the way.
I would, yeah, for sure.
The fun storyline with Joe Flacco in Cleveland is he has chemistry with Elijah Moore because he was in.
Never thought about that. I was watching that game and I'm seeing him throw the ball to Elijah Moore, like almost forcing it. I'm like, bro, you got some trust in this guy, right? Now it makes sense. I never even connected those dots.
Our next game is also a pick 'em according to the show, which means we're riding the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road against the Atlanta Falcons, who are favored on FanDuel by 1.5.
Just give me the Falcons at home.
Okay.
I just don't like what's happening with Tampa, and they're spiraling. Don't have a lot of confidence in it. They beat Carolina. I don't care about that. Falcons seem to have a little bit more punch in desperate moments. Give me the Atlanta Falcons at home.
So here's what I ask myself: what is the most NFC South thing that could possibly happen?
Tampa winning the game.
Give me the Bucks.
All
I
right,
got no rhyme or reason for it. It's just in my cockles. I feel it.
The cockles of your heart?
In the cockles of my heart, I feel a Tampa dub coming. So put me down for a Tampa dub.
Okay.
For no other reason than I continue to not trust Arthur Smith and the Falcons. Not that I trust the Bucks, but it's the NFC South.
Not trust all around here, yeah.
Detroit Lions at Chicago, favored by 3 on FanDuel. A measly 3, Joe. Is that a suspicious line to you?
A little bit, yeah. So he's 6 in Detroit.
I can tell you the show likes this by more than a touchdown. So the show is hammering Detroit -3.
I am picking Detroit, but the way their defense is playing makes me concerned. But I think they can outscore them, and I think that's why I'm going to pick Detroit.
The pathway for Chicago is what?
Running the ball like crazy, DJ Moore, like scoring. It's the Washington script is what they need.
Is this an overreaction to the last time we saw Chicago, which was Monday Night Football against Minnesota, and their defense playing really well, getting 4 turnovers off Josh Dobbs?
Right. I just don't care about that.
Neither do I, but I'm looking at a -3 line for Detroit. It feels like it's small. It feels like an overreaction to the last time we saw Chicago, which was in primetime.
Might be.
I think Detroit wins big. Houston -3.5 in MetLife against the New York Jets for the first of 2 games played at MetLife Stadium this weekend.
Conventional wisdom says Houston. But I don't know. I'd be lying if I wasn't a little bit nervous about Stroud and kind of the style that he plays against the Jets, where the Jets, I mean, if you can't play efficient football against the Jets defense, you're going to get in trouble.
It's a good point. And it's not just ball security, it's how they push the ball down the field.
Yep.
Right.
Greatly nervous about it for Houston. Now, the Jets' run defense is not that good. Can Houston rely on that? And at times they have been able to.
They've been intermittently finding a little bit more life in the run game.
Yes.
So you'd like to think Bobby Slowick, if he's who we think he is as an OC. They didn't have great production the last 2 weeks against Jacksonville and Denver, but the 2 weeks before that against Cincinnati and Arizona, they put up 100+ yards.
And Saleh and Ulbrich know about Shanahan's style offenses, right? Not only were they part of it, they've game planned against Miami for the last several years. This is not like a foreign look that they're going to be seeing. I mean, you get a little weather in this game. Brother, I don't know. Are we talking ourselves into the Jets?
Zach Wilson back at quarterback.
It's their best quarterback that they have right now.
It is their best quarterback.
And that's a low bar to clear, but Tim Boyle stinks, man. Can't play.
I'm taking the Jets. Or no, I'm taking the Texans. Sorry. But this is the game that is like the I would not be surprised game of the week. Go ahead.
I'm just going to pick No, I'm not doing it. I'm picking
Go ahead.
No. Go Jets, though. Seriously, I hope the Jets win the game.
The show has it as Houston -4. So the show has Houston covering -3.5. By the slimst margins.
Right.
It's a tight game. It'll be a tight game. Seattle at San Francisco, trying to end the skid. To be honest, I don't feel great about it. San Francisco's favored by 10.5 points.
Brother, 49ers are humming, and the Seattle Seahawks are the next unfortunate souls to be in the way of the train. Niners, especially because we're just doing pick 'em, right? Like that seems easy to me.
Right.
The show's got a harder job to do here.
When the show has it at 8.5 versus 10.5 is the actual spread. So the show has Seattle covering 10.5. And I love that it's at 10.5 because 10 still gets it done, right? If it was at 10, I would
backdoor cover. Backdoor covers coming for Seattle for sure.
That half point, I think, gives me a little bit more confidence in this pick. So I'm going Seattle to cover. The show is going Seattle to cover. We are both going San Francisco to pick them. Minnesota at Allegiant against the Raiders. Raiders were off last week.
Raiders off the bye against Josh Dobbs.
Minnesota.
I don't know.
Justin Jefferson back though. Justin Jefferson's back.
Is he?
He was activated after the Monday Night Football game against Chicago.
I'm going the Vikings. I think the Vikings have more juice on offense, And I think Brian Flores against Aiden O'Connell is something that I like. Give me the Vikings.
Yes, I think they will swarm the hell out of them. I think Minnesota's defense performs big.
Yeah.
So I'm also on Minnesota. The show has it as Minnesota as a touchdown favorite versus a field goal favorite. So the FanDuel line at 3, Minnesota being favored. The show is taking them to cover that as well, Joe.
All right, we got heavy hitters coming up here. Eagles, Cowboys,
Big games.
Bills, Chiefs. Big stuff to talk about, so stick with us. But look, if you're like me and you're trying to figure out your holiday shopping and it stresses you out, you're in luck because I have the answer for you, right? We're trying to find meaningful gifts for our friends and our family members, but it can be challenging. You're trying to be thoughtful, but it can't be overly complicated. Well, like I said, I do have the answer for you, and that is the Skylight Digital Picture Frame. Skylight is a touchscreen photo frame that you can send photos to straight from your phone, and they appear in seconds. You can even preload photos before the box is open, so that way when it's unwrapped and plugged in, your most treasured memories will appear. I mean, it's literally the perfect gift for anyone. Imagine giving that thing to your significant other, your mother, your grandparents, and you can load it up with pictures of you and your family and make them happy all the time. In fact, satisfaction's guaranteed. They are so confident at Skylight that you're going to love it that they're offering a free 120-day return opportunity. And as a special limited time offer for our listeners, you can get $15 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/lockedon. Again, to get $15 off your purchase of a Skylight frame, just go to skylightframe.com/lockedon. That's skylightframe.com/lockedon.
The AFC West battle of mid is on. The Broncos at the Chargers. First of 2 matchups this season for these two teams. The Chargers are favored by 2.5 at home, according to FanDuel. Where you at, Joe?
Man, I feel like a bounce back performance for the Chargers offense is in line here. That's kind of the number one thing that I think about. Denver's not going to turn it over 3 times, I don't think, and I think their offense will play well. So I like Justin Herbert more than Russell Wilson. I think the Chargers are at home. I kind of like them in this game. I don't love it, but I like them a little bit more. Denver's going to have to rely on takeaways, right? That's been their message. Give me the Chargers.
Why do you feel a bounce back performance is coming when they've scored 16 points the last 2 weeks?
I think Justin Herbert's too good of a quarterback.
Give me the Broncos.
There we are again.
Here we are again, the Broncos. They're going to honeypot me again. I can't wait. But the Chargers, you just keep waiting for the wheels to snap back in place for the Chargers, and it just keeps not happening. Right? They score 38 and lose at home to Detroit. And they score 10 against Baltimore at home and lose on Sunday Night Football. And they go on the road and they win 6-0 against New England the following week. It's just been tough sledding for the Chargers is just probably the best way to put it. And even the week before that, you go back to they played a Monday Night Football and scored 27 against the Jets, but 7 of that was on a punt return for a touchdown. So Denver's been hot. They obviously did not have the script to beat Houston in Houston. I think a divisional matchup is what they need to get back on track. And the show has this as Chargers -1.5. So the show has Denver covering a 2.5-point spread. So Joe against the world this game.
All right. My Chargers.
Bills Chiefs.
Heard about it.
I've heard Buffalo's had some success in Arrowhead as of late.
Won the last 2 years.
I've heard Buffalo probably has their season on the line in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard Josh Allen's playing really good football. The problem, the hardship, is the Chiefs' record coming off of a loss the last several years is quite robust. I've also heard Sean McDermott's never lost coming out of the bye. All these things are facts.
Yeah, the Bills have the second best winning percentage after a loss since 2017 as well. Right, these are two good teams coming off of a loss, right?
Yeah,
historically.
Yeah. I've heard Kansas City really struggling to. Here's the big concern I have for the Bills in this game. Teams have really been able to minimize Travis Kelce. Do you feel like Buffalo without Milano and the safeties being a little older and probably a half step slower, do you feel like they can still do that?
I don't have a lot of confidence in stopping Travis Kelce. He's been a problem for years. I think the good thing for the Bills is that there's not a whole lot else that you really get nervous about in terms of their weapons. I mean, I know Rashee Rice has had a resurgence. We'll see if Isaiah Pacheco, right? He didn't practice on Wednesday. So, I think that'll be an important piece for them. I think the Chiefs have a similar issue with kind of their middle of the field with no Brian Cook. We'll see if Nick Bolton can go, but I think Kincaid can stress them, and so I'm not saying Kincaid's better than Kelce, but I'm saying the stress that they're going to have accounting for that matchup could be pretty significant.
I'm inclined to pick the Buffalo Bills here.
I am going to pick the Bills.
We'll go down together.
I think the Bills have had a history.
-5.
I don't think the Bills are going to win out. Like, I think that's an unfair expectation, but they do have a kind of a history of whether it was like after that Arizona Hail Murray play, they kind of like ran the table the rest of the way after the bye. They had that heartbreaking loss in Tampa against Tom Brady, ran the table after the bye, after that game and like won the division. They've done this the last couple of years. I think that it's a somewhat of a familiar spot. I don't think this team can do it, but I think they win this game. That makes sense.
It's gonna go one of two ways, right? Like, you're gonna have the crippling loss against Philadelphia that you're either gonna bounce back from, you stewed on it for an extra week, or that loss is gonna be, we saw Jordan Phillips on the sideline during the game getting into it with the fans, and then the Von Miller situation during the bye, and it's like it's either the house of cards is either gonna fold all the way in, or they're gonna dig their feet in and they're gonna win a hard-fought football game. It's going to be one or the other. I think it's Kansas City by a billion or Buffalo by a score. I'm riding with you. I'm riding with you picking the Bills. The show is taking Kansas City to cover the .5 spread on FanDuel because they have it. The show has the spread at 5. Philadelphia at Dallas against the Cowboys. First place in the NFC East on the line. Everybody hates the Eagles now. Incredible how it's happened. Everybody's just completely.
Why do they? I don't find myself there. I like the Eagles a lot.
Well, I can tell you the spread at Dallas -3.5. The week before, San Francisco was favored in Philadelphia against the Eagles. So I'm using that collective everybody to illustrate this. The spreads have not been kind to the Eagles as of late. In spite of being 10-1 going into the San Francisco game. Obviously, they get waxed, so that's reinforcement. You know who else got waxed by San Francisco? Dallas. I think you can make a very firm argument the Cowboys are playing better football, but I also don't love what Dallas showed defensively against Seattle the previous week.
Philly's won 2 of 3 in this matchup, but Dallas has won 3 of the last 6.
It's been a little bit healthier of a competition than I think and it's some of that's been because Dak's record against the NFC East opponents is really good. But he's had some games where he's missed the last couple seasons.
Part of me just doesn't want to be different than you on this pick.
I think Dallas catches Philly at a tough time.
Coming off a loss?
Worst, getting smoked at home. And for that reason, I think I'm picking the Eagles.
I'm going Eagles. And I was hoping you would pick Eagles because that's where my lean was. But I did not want to be different.
The show has this Philly covering the 3.5-point spread that they're getting and actually thinks Philadelphia wins the game as well. So we're all in on Philly. We can make this one quick. Miami at home, Monday Night Football, part of their doubleheader, which is a dumb idea, but that's neither here nor there. Miami favored by 13.5 points against the Tennessee Titans.
Is Simmons is out, right, for Tennessee?
Jeffrey Simmons is out, yes.
Is Derrick Henry, what's his status?
Derrick Henry is going to play. He's not in concussion protocol.
Okay, that's somewhat helpful. Is
the Dolphins will be without Jerome Baker and probably Robert Hunt.
Is Steve McNair available and Albert Hainsworth in his prime and Javon Curse and Keith Bullock? Are any of these guys going to be available to play?
Who was the receiver there who caught that play against the Rams?
Kevin Dyson?
Dyson. Yeah, they need like Kevin Dyson too.
Derek Mason. Are these guys coming
Derek
around?
Mason. Taylor Lewan. No, they're not available to play.
Wow. Well, with that in mind, give me the Dolphins home. Going to Game Time? Well, you already have a ticket.
I have a ticket, yeah. Dolphins at home. The show likes Miami to cover 13.5. Show has the spread at 17. So
it's the athletic ceiling. I told you this. The Dolphins aren't capable of a stinker against a bad team. They're not.
You keep saying that in hopes you're going to jinx them. I know what you're doing.
No, it's really not true. No, I honestly believe that. There are times where I certainly lean into Dolphin stuff just to do it. This is not one of those times. I legitimately believe that the Miami Dolphins and their athletic ceiling offensively does not allow them to lose a game like this. Can they play a close game like this against the Raiders? Yes, that can happen. But there's going to be a couple of moments where you're out leveraged and the guys are too fast and Tua is too accurate and they're going to score some explosive plays. It's going to make it impossible for you to win the game if you don't have the stuff. And Tennessee doesn't have the stuff. And
Green Bay at New York Giants.
That's not a knock on. I think it's a well-constructed team. It sets a high floor, man.
Yeah, the explosive play rate allows you to get points even if you're struggling.
Right. What they say, like in basketball, right? Offense takes nights off, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when your offense takes a night off and you still got sharpshooters, right? Doesn't matter. You're still going to hit some threes. By the way, I picked
New York Giants
to beat the Giants.
I'm also picking the Packers to beat the Giants. The show, interestingly enough, has the Giants covering the 6.5-point spread, however. So there you have it.
Good luck, show.
You know what? That feels like a weird thing, but you know what else the show got? The show got Cincinnati covering the 8.5-point spread against Jacksonville on Monday Night Football last week, too.
Heck of a call out.
So it happens. These weird lines, these weird picks. The show knows it gets 55% of picks right against the spread. So that is going to do it for us here on this episode of Locked On NFL Scouting. I'm Kyle Krabs. He's Joe Marino. The show is the show. We appreciate you for joining all three of us as we make our picks this week for Week 14 of the 2020 NFL season. You can find us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Takes on Takes tomorrow. So leave your hot takes in the comment section, and we will answer them all tomorrow on the show. Peace.